diversity training, but it's not because I don't care about the topic. It's because most organizations aren't willing to do what this one organization did do. Now, let me say this. What I'm going to share is really, it wasn't about diversity. No, not at all. Don't let the parts about diversity throw you off as you listen to the story. This was about values. It was not about diversity. I was doing a virtual workshop for a team. As a matter of fact, there were two teams involved on the call. On one hand, it was Organization A, large, powerful organization, had acquired Organization B, smaller but mighty with a strong profit margin. A really wanted B, so that's what happened. A bought B, actually, and this was part of the challenge that they were dealing with as far as the merger of culture and the way they were going about the work that they were doing. The problem that they had encountered was one that had to do with a trans employee. The trans employee hadn't done nothing wrong, in my opinion. What happened? The trans employee was interacting with a high value client and included their preferred pronouns in their email signature. That was it. The client did not like that. The client felt whatever the client felt and didn't want to work with somebody who wore their values, their identity on their sleeve. Let's just put it that way. So what happened? The client complained up the food chain, not directly to the employee. When the employee's supervisor heard about it, the employee's supervisor was like, bet, we'll take them off your account. Now, we're not even going to get into the legal issues, caveat about the supervisor. It wasn't actually just any old one level up. The supervisor was like VP level, like higher than that. So in the meeting, this supervisor is there, as well as the leadership team from their organization. By the way, supervisor was from Organization B that had been acquired, and then the leadership team from Organization A was there as well. The tension was thick, and then this guy did the thing that I actually love in workshops. He said, "You said this was a safe space, right?" I was like, uh-oh, he taking the glove. So he tees up what he's about to say by saying, sometimes we forget that customer service and profit are our primary goals. And in forgetting that those are the goals, sometimes we get stuck in dealing with things that we don't have to deal with or that are secondary to customer service and profit. And then he says, and since we're talking about identity and making people feel safe and psychological safety and all of that, he brings the issue on home because he knows that the issue is about the trans employee and the customer on his team. Then this is when it starts to get really sticky. He says, you can't tell me that person does not feel comfortable on my team. She wears a dress, for crying out loud. And I'm like, okay, he's getting to how he really feels. And he's going on and on and on about he doesn't really want to hear about somebody feeling uncomfortable. Then he says, if the person was truly uncomfortable, they could stay at home because we got a very liberal work from home policy here. Okay, so he's making his case. But then this is the part where, to me, we made a tremendous and difficult shift. He said, and while we're talking about it, let's also talk about this. You guys acquired us because our margins were very good. And this is how we make that money. He said, we believe in customer service by all means necessary. We do what we have to do because that shores up our profits. I'm going to give the customer what they want. And I'm not sacrificing my bonus for somebody's feelings. The guy goes on to say, and since I'm saying my piece before I stop, I even want to point out this. He says, the way I handled the issue in the culture that I came from or that we are from, we wouldn't even be here. But on the other hand, I know you all have a chief diversity officer. I'm pretty sure that person, if they were in this meeting, would have a different reaction to not only what I'm sharing, but how I handled the issue. We need to decide whose values are running the show here. What actually do we stand for? Y'all, that was the best values clarification meeting I have ever been in. Don't get me wrong. Diversity brought it up, but that wasn't about diversity. That was about values. And that is the kind of thing that a lot of organizations don't do. They don't look at how do we live our values. We say we value thing A, but what happens when thing A could possibly affect our profit margin? Now, don't get me wrong. As an HR person, when I switch from leadership to HR, we're going to have a whole nother discussion about violation of rights. That's a whole nother issue. But to me, before you start to get into the regulatory requirements, we need to really think about what does it mean to live these values? What if a customer doesn't want to work with a woman? What if a customer doesn't want to work with a young person? What if a customer doesn't want to work with somebody with disabilities? And if we say no, how does that play out with profit? It was by far one of the best leadership discussions and values clarification sessions I'd ever facilitated. To be honest, if I could get every team to have such hard conversations, I would pay them. Okay, I went too far with that. But ultimately, that is why I love values clarification. That is also part of the reason why I won't do diversity work. If your diversity work does not look like that, I don't want to do it.